Hello. I'm excited. I want to tell you so many things today. The truth is, healing is not easy because it takes a lot of patience and persistence. It takes this desire to want to connect with yourself and the world around you. And why do people even heal themselves? Because they recognize that they have emotional wounds that are going unchecked, that are dictating how they show up in their relationships and in their life. What does all this mean? It means that as children, we all adopt some form of trauma. And Gabor Mate talks about how there's capital T trauma and lowercase t trauma, which means some traumas are much heavier and much more wounding than others. And we're not here to compare traumas or compete with each other. You are your own person, you have your own perspective of reality. So your responsibility is towards you. I find that a lot of people start to justify their own life experience by saying, oh, it wasn't so bad. It could have been worse. So many people had much more traumatizing experiences than me. Well, yeah, that's true. And you still are dealing with your own individual unique pain that needs your attention. So, if we can agree that your trauma is valid and it deserves your attention, we can go to the next point, which is how do we even heal trauma? What does healing even mean? And what does linear versus cyclical mean in this context? Okay, we're going to say bye to the little kitty cat for a bit. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Let me show you something. Here is what I wish everyone knew about trauma. This is the initial point of trauma. So let's say mom yells at you. Now, what happens is a couple of things. When we are scared and traumatized as kids, it doesn't take a lot for some people to have that energy stuck within them because we are emotional creatures, and as children, we need to feel safe and connected and attached to our parents. So when that attachment is jeopardized through tension or through some sort of traumatic experience, that stays stuck in our body, and we often forego our expression and our authenticity and our needs to maintain attachment. When we have the trauma, what happens is life is cyclical. It's not linear. It's not one line. You had the trauma here, you healed it here, and you're done here. Cyclical means that the trauma happened here, and then you went on with life, and you had an experience that reminded you of that initial trauma. So if the initial trauma was mom yelled at me, and there was no repair, and we didn't really make up, and now I just feel scared whenever I mess up. Next time I mess up, that trauma is still in my system and it'll get triggered. And then life keeps going on and on and on until that same wound gets triggered again. Now, every time that wound gets triggered, we have the option of starting to understand the wound and healing it. And every time this wound gets triggered through life experience and we don't heal it and we just react from it, we embed that trauma even more. We just cement the behavior that is our reaction to it. So for example, if the initial wounding is mom yelled at me and I got scared and I shut down emotionally and I stopped expressing myself, in this situation, it was for my survival and it was what my brain knew how to do to keep me safe. But then when I'm in my teens and then when I'm in my 20s and then when I'm in my 30s, I keep having the same reaction. That system that helped me adapt will start to hurt me. Because when I'm in my 30s and my partner or my boss yelled at me for some reason and I shut down instead of speaking up, advocating for myself, creating a boundary, or even walking away, I just shut down, I repeat my reaction, and nothing changes. And internally, I'm actually suffering. I'm miserable. I feel weak or lost. I feel scared. I feel like no one really cares about me. And this isn't to say that it's our fault. Something happened to us, and that is not our fault. But it is our responsibility to start recognizing where that trauma is showing up in our life and how we are reacting from that emotional wound. We start to realize at a certain point that our life feels like a loop that we're stuck in, and life feels like it's happening to us, not for us. We start to feel victimized by life, like God or the universe doesn't love us and doesn't want us to be happy, and all this bad shit keeps happening to us, and it's not really our fault. Whereas in reality, we just weren't educated about how emotions and trauma and our nervous system works. So, what you need to take away from this today is that you deserve to sit with your emotions and to start understanding your patterns and to start healing those wounds step by step so that when that triggering experience happens again, you aren't so emotionally wounded that you're reactive. So that the next time someone yells at you, instead of you feeling like you need to shut down and just accept it and run away, maybe cry alone in the bathroom or get angry but not know how to express it and feel choked up, next time someone yells at you, when you've sat with that initial pain, when you've understood how hurt you were by that and how it wasn't your fault, and when you remember that you're the adult that gets to advocate for yourself, you won't let someone yell at you. You'll stop them. You'll be the adult that you needed as a child. You start protecting yourself the way you weren't protected. And yes, it's a process and there are different layers and levels to it. But for today, I just want you to know that healing isn't linear. Healing isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, done. It's a cycle. And sometimes when you go back to that same trigger, you'll start thinking, oh my God, I healed this. I already worked with this part of me. I've already felt my emotions. Why does this still get to me? Why do I feel stuck? It's a deepening of the healing. So it's the same wound that you keep revisiting with a different perspective, with a different lens, with higher awareness, with better tools. Healing is so much more about becoming better at feeling rather than just feeling better. You do feel better more often, and you get to have skills that no one taught you. You get to advocate for your personal truth because reality isn't one thing for everyone. Your experiences, your stories are your responsibility. No one will behave for you. No one will think for you. No one will feel for you. And so you get to create your reality through your own choices. And what often happens is we usually adopt other people's realities as our own, usually our primary caregivers, so mom and dad or whoever took care of you as a child. And part of their reality is their values and their boundaries and their own traumas. And if we don't become super aware of our own self and our own system, we will live our lives often unaligned with who we really are because we've adopted someone else's perspective of reality as our own. And you can imagine that leaves you feeling unfulfilled, unaligned, unmotivated, stuck in your own skin, feeling like life isn't yours, like you're a side character in someone else's story. And it's so important to have people that you can talk to about this journey because people who get it, and people who don't really, really don't. I have a very dear friend that recently confided in me that she was going through this stage where she doesn't feel like she is who she wants to be, and she doesn't feel like her old self anymore. And she was feeling torn apart and so confused. And because I understand this world and I understand growth and healing, I was able to sit with her and listen to her and really understand where she is. And it was so incredible to see how validated and seen she felt. Because she's not crazy. She's not going through something that is out of this world. She's just going through something no one in her family has gone through. And most of her friends don't even think or talk about. And going through that liminal space, that transition of I'm not who I was and I'm not fully who I want to become is actually so exhausting and so draining and so painful sometimes because our identity feels so shaky. One of my favorite stories of nature is the butterfly. I absolutely adore how a little caterpillar will eat and eat and eat and just gather all this energy, and then it'll put itself in a chrysalis in the cocoon, and it will literally melt its own body, turn into goo, and then transform into a butterfly. It is one of my favorite transformation stories in nature, because the caterpillar is just going on instinct. It just knows that it's meant to be something more. And as humans, because we're a bit more cerebral, we don't really go on instinct all the time. Sometimes we stand in our own way and we overthink every detail of our life. But many of us are meant to evolve, and we're meant to grow wings, and we're meant to be free and express in a completely different way than what we've adapted to. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are connecting to yourself in a new way. And no one teaches us this stuff. But I'm here. I'm here to teach us this stuff. I'm learning. I'll teach you everything I know. And if you ever need someone to talk to about your journey, feel free to hit me up. Life can be hard, and we all need a friend. And that's okay. Have a glorious day, and I'll see you in a week. Bye.